This is the Gumball Iceberg. The Amazing World of Gumball has had a ton of lore with its over 15 years on the air. From surface level stuff most fans would know from just watching the show, all the way to some of the most obscure details, leaks, and theories in the Gumball community. And trust me, some of these entries deeper on the iceberg even shocked me, the most unemployed Gumball fan out there. So sit back, relax, and let's go over the entire Gumball Iceberg. Feel free to put this on in the background, or whatever you gotta do to watch the whole thing. Let's get into it. The wonderfully weird world of Gumball. When it comes to the latest news in the world of Gumball, the show has finally released its sequel to the original, The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball, on July 28th, 2025, in the United States. The rest of the world had to wait a couple months extra, as internationally, the show was released on October 6th. It describes itself as the 7th season of the show, after the original ended in 2019. According to IMDb, this is the reason the show needed a new name. As the description says, reality bends and family life gets weird. Gumball pulls Darwin, Anais, and the whole town into adventures, from fighting evil fast food to dealing with an AI crushing on his mom. The show's so wild, it needed a new name. This has been long anticipated, especially after how the original show's finale left a lot of questions unanswered. First announced in September of 2021, it was meant to be set as the original title. That is, until May 19th, 2025, when it was announced that it would officially be retitled. This, of course, came along with a trailer, giving everyone a glimpse as to what's to come.
We're back!
The episodes are what you would expect from the show, except that it's set 7 years after the events of the Amazing World of Gumball. I won't spoil much here, but I highly recommend you watch it. Canonical media. While waiting 6 years for the sequel to come out, fans had other media around the show that kept them busy. The first of these would be the spin-off series Darwin's Yearbook and Gumball Chronicles. Darwin's Yearbook is a 6-episode miniseries centered around Darwin as he tries to complete the Elmore Junior High yearbook. It features mainly clips from already existing episodes of Gumball, and was released in December of 2019, right after the show. Gumball Chronicles released from 2020 to 2021, following the same pattern of recycling scenes from the main show, but this time, the episodes followed their own plot. 8 episodes exist in total, with one about Mother's Day, and all 4 of them, collectively called The Amazing World of Gumball Election Special, acted as social commentary. These 4 episodes aired on November 2nd, a day before Election Day for the 2020 US presidential election. On top of these 2, Season 5's finale, The Puppets, was in collaboration with the adult comedy show Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. This collaboration also expanded to its own miniseries called Waiting for Gumball. It revolves around the adventures of Gumball and Darwin in the puppet world, with Grady, Frank, and Howdy looking for things to do while waiting for their masters. The 13 shorts were released on the American Cartoon Network website on October 8th, 2017. Amazing World of Gumball as anime. When the episode The Fury aired, it took fans to a whole new world of reimagining the show as an anime. This led to one artist, Mike Innell, in particular, to take inspiration. On January 18th, 2015, he released a video called What If the Amazing World of Gumball Was an Anime? A 2-minute and 5-second video as a fan episode. It takes scenes from the tape and reimagines it by turning all the characters into their anime human versions. Alan would be the only exception, as he still kept his balloon design with a different face. The animation was really admired by anyone who stumbled across it, as it perfectly captures the essence of the show. The video introduces all the characters in the same way the original episode did, and also includes the song Baby Anais, which only makes it even more impressive.
Baby Anais.
This video has gotten almost 87 million views in the 10 years that it's been out. Cartoon rejects. Typically, in the world of animated television, there is a basic accepted type of character design, and every character in the show follows it. When shows deviate, there's usually a grand explanation. One of the only exceptions to this rule is the Amazing World of Gumball. There's all sorts of characters, and there really isn't an explanation for why they all just live in the same world with each other. How does a flower, a cloud, a cat, and a fish even come to be in the same realm together? Well, there's a simple explanation. They weren't created for the same show. Ben Boclet, the creator, has worked on drawings for the characters for various projects. These projects were mostly commercials, and over the years, he had accumulated a variety of designs that never made it on screen. So when he got the opportunity to pitch a show, Boclet saw a gold mine. According to him, I started looking back at the characters that I created for commercials. It was a big mashup of 2D, stylized 3D, realistic 3D, and even stop motion. I lined them up, and the result was varied and unusual. I really liked the idea of a show without graphic unity. All of these characters had been rejected, they had no purpose. I found that quite endearing. I integrated them into a photo of a schoolyard, and I was quite excited with the outcome. Connections to the creator. Speaking of Ben Boclet, the designs were not the only thing connected to his past. In 2011, Boclet shared that the Watterson family was named after Bill Watterson from his own comic strip Calvin and Hobbes. But it doesn't stop there. Born and raised in a small French town near Marseilles, Boclet says that many of the show's storylines are inspired by accidents that actually happened to him, except of course they are blown out of proportion. His animators were also given this freedom, and they named some of the characters after their pets. When it comes to general inspiration, Boclet says that famous artists like Hayao Miyazaki and Akira Toriyama greatly influenced his work. He also found inspiration in the 1988 movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. To add the finishing touches, he wanted to blend the format of an animated sitcom that was influenced by Back to the Future. Tumblr controversy. Season 5, episode 32, The Best, follows the same social commentary that Gumball does, but this time it was targeted at a certain social media website. The day begins with any other, with Gumball trying to lose himself in his phone. That is, until Carmen comes along and destruction follows.
What do you want from me?
Please don't talk with your mouth full. You increase the risk of choking by 75%.
Stop telling me what to do.
Luckily, he survives, but Carmen isn't done yet, going out of her way the whole day. She continues to criticize Gumball, much to his annoyance. Finally, unable to take it anymore, Gumball decided to get even with her, but his initial attempts don't go so well.
What?
As his last attempt, he plugs himself into the Rambler so that he may learn the martial arts of the social justice warrior.
What's going on here? He asked me to plug him into Rambler.
Now, Rambler is supposed to be a hint at Tumblr, though Rambler exists as its own Russian search engine in real life. This scene would ultimately make it to all social media, and in particular, Tumblr, with Gumball using phrases like check your privilege and claiming sexism. The viewers had mixed thoughts. On one side, fans felt that it was a really brilliant way of making a real issue into a digestible form, even for a younger audience. And on the other hand, critics accused the scene of being fake woke, claiming that it was distasteful in a children's comedy show. Characters' transformations. While Penny Fitzgerald was first seen in season 1, she was an altered peanut like the rest of her family. She had a light brown shell and a set of tan antlers that grew out of her head. This would all change though in the episode The Shell. It starts with Gumball and Penny acting in Beauty and the Beast as a part of the school play, but they fumble on the kissing scene, causing Gumball to headbutt her. This would become the least of his worries as he realizes what he's done.
Tell me how it looks.
What was that?
Nothing!
Her family was obviously not happy, but with Gumball's encouragement, Penny completely sheds her skin, showing her true self, and she turns out to be a glowing, antlered fairy-like creature with wings. Later in the episode, she is shown to be able to shapeshift based on her emotions. This is one of the 2 canonical character transformations. The other is Rob. He was formerly a tall cyclops with a very slim blue body and a single larger eye located in the center of his face. face. He had extremely long skinny limbs, pink hands with visible nails, and a larger head. In addition, he had medium-length auburn hair, which covered part of his face. He was sent to the void after the world discovered his uselessness, and when he snuck out, his whole figure had changed. The Watterson family also went through minor design changes. In season 1, all of the characters had oval-shaped eyes, but by season 3, they had become circular. Gumball's whiskers had also become darker as the seasons progressed, with Darwin's black lines on his legs and fins being removed. Larry and his jobs. As of the season 5 episode, The Menu, Larry is confirmed to have 38 jobs. The first ever job he's seen working is in the episode The DVD, where he works as the cashier for Laser Video. He's also the cashier for Elmore Gas Station, Food and Stuff, Joyful Burger, and the shoe store. He's the clerk for Ripley 2000 and works at Frivius Pizza, as well as the pet store. He was the Santa for Elmore Shopping, the bank teller for Bank of Elmore, the waiter for Ches, and the zookeeper for Elmore Mall. Other jobs that Larry has seen or mentioned to be doing include being the police force accountant, an ice cream vendor, pest control, security at an art gallery, and a repairman. He works so many jobs that Elmore's economical structure depends on him, and if he ever stopped working, the whole town would break down. All of this seems like a lot for a guy who was once called Lazy Larry. The lore for the transformation is never mentioned, except that something happened in the summer of '83.
I stopped being Lazy Larry years ago.
How come?
Well, it all goes back to the summer of '83.
Can you just tell it quickly?
From that moment on, Richard proudly holds the title for being the laziest. Penball. While it's unclear how long they would have known each other for, Gumball and Penny, at the very least, have known each other since the start of the series. As the series progressed, the two started to get closer and closer, until eventually they started dating. The first signs of the relationship developing happened in The Pressure, where Gumball's crush on Penny becomes apparent, and it seems that she reciprocates the feelings. Later, in The G, Penny sticks up for Gumball when everyone else starts laughing at him. The most significant moment in their relationship came in the episode The Shell, the episode I discussed earlier, where Penny ends up accepting her true self, and the couple share their first kiss. Gumball has also been shown to be incredibly jealous whenever he feels as though someone is trying to take Penny away from him. For example, in the episode The Flower, he mistakenly thinks that Penny is dating Leslie, and we see this trait in full swing in the episode The Dream. He dreamt that Darwin kissed Penny and started unfairly taking his frustration out on his friend in the real world. Despite these moments, Penny, more often than not, forgives Gumball for his actions. Carwin. Speaking of relationships, Darwin canonically has his own, with Carrie the Ghost. The episode, called Halloween, would lay out the foundations for this relationship. When Darwin was turned into a ghost by Carrie's potion, he kissed her on the lips, claiming it was something he wanted to do for a long time. In response, Carrie blushed. In The Scam, those feelings are much more heavily implied. When Carrie was about to marry Gargoth, Darwin began to cry as he wished there was another way. At the end of it, they were trying to find excuses for them to hang out with one another. The episode The Matchmaker would seal their fate. Darwin shows more passion for Carrie than ever before, and is more anxious to impress her, going as far as to write a poem, a song, and shout out his secrets in her presence. However, due to Gumball's misunderstanding, she reluctantly makes a love potion for Darwin and Terry, making them fall in love. After realizing the mistake, they try to break Darwin and Terry up, only making them closer. But when Darwin sees Carrie's heartbroken tears, the curse breaks and he approaches her, and they finally kiss. As of this episode, the two are now dating.
I mean, you're gonna steal Carrie from me! It's supposed to be Carwin, not Carball! You home-wrecking woman-eater!
Voice actor changes. Gumball and Darwin stay 12 forever, unlike their voice actors. Because of this, the show has to constantly replace the voice and still make it sound like it's a middle schooler. Logan Grove voiced Gumball from season 1, the DVD, all the way to season 3's The Kids. By the time season 3 came around, it was clear that Logan's voice had started to sound older and out of place in the show. So in came Jacob Hopkins, who captured the role perfectly. He had his run from season 3 3 to Season 5's The Copycats, but the inevitable hit would hit him too, and he had to be replaced as well. The voice actor who came after Jacob was Nicholas Cantu, and it was him who finished the first show, right up to the last episode, The Inquisition. But of course, there's a new show now, nearly 7 years after the previous one, and this time it's Elkio Thiel, who is now taking the role as Cantu is a full-grown adult now. Darwin wasn't spared of his turn spinning on the wheel of voice actors either. Alongside Logan, the first actor for Gumball, it was Kwesi Bache, who voiced Darwin. He too stayed till Season 3 when he was replaced by Terrell Ransom Jr. He stood with Jacob, who was voicing Gumball at the time, until the Copycats episode. Then Terrell Ransom Jr. was replaced with Donnell Hansley Jr. But unlike Nicholas, the voice actor for Gumball at the time, he only stayed until Season 6, Episode 10, The Anybody. He had a shorter time on the show because his voice changed quicker, leading Cartoon Network to find a new voice actor for the role, and that's when Christian J. Simon came in. He was there up until the last episode, and then also voiced Darwin in the spin-offs, like Darwin's Yearbook and Gumball Chronicles. The new show, however, has a different voice actor by the name of Hero Hunter to take on the role. Gumball's younger sister Anais is the only exception to this rule. She has retained the same voice actor from the debut of the show, all the way to the spin-offs. She was only replaced in the Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball, where she's played by Kinza Syed Khan. The Amazing World of Gumball, the movie. In October 2015, The Amazing World of Gumball creator Ben Boclet told The Times that he was interested in creating a film based off of the series. In the following years, Boclet would go on to say that he doubted a film would make it due to his departure in 2016, but he had planned 2 drafts for the potential direct-to-video and theoretical films for the show. In 2018, Cartoon Network confirmed that a script for the movie on The Amazing World of Gumball was being written. Following the series finale of The Amazing World of Gumball and the mixed reviews it received from fans, Boclet said that the planned film would resolve its cliffhanger and was officially announced to be in development on February 17th, 2021, under the title The Amazing World of Gumball, the movie. The movie was originally intended to act as a conclusion to the cliffhanger of Season 6, and at the time set the stage for the Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball. This, however, fell through when Max decided to drop the movie's release on its service. At the Annecy Festival 2024, Boclet was asked about the movie during a Q&A session. He confirmed that the movie was still being worked on, with the story and script currently being revised and reworked. Backgrounds are real locations. It's quite obvious that the show incorporates a variety of animation styles, from 2D, 3D, and even this golden scene that took 3 months to make. But this all happens against the backgrounds of something much more out of pocket. The backgrounds of the show are often from the real world, mostly photographs of places from Vallejo, California. The animators take pictures, edit them, and blend them with the animated aspect of Gumball to create that one-of-a-kind mixed media style. Interestingly, the real location of the Watterson house is blurred out in Google Maps. The reason is speculated to be precautions against people from the globe harassing them, not letting the owners of the house live in peace. This is assuming it hasn't already happened. But if you guys want me to go to the Watterson house in real life, make sure to get me to 1 million subscribers and I'll do it. But that's probably not gonna happen for a while, so unless you guys really want me to, you know, subscribe. Gumball and Darwin's real name. Up until the near end of Season 2, fans thought that Gumball Watterson was Gumball's full name. That is until the name came out and gave us this little tidbit.
It's only 3 letters in the top score. What do I go with? Gum or ball?
Maybe go with the least dumb sounding.
You're right. Let's go with ball.
No, wait. Why don't you use your real name instead of your nickname?
Great idea. Wait, what is it?
Gumball sets out to find this bit of trivia about himself. He didn't need to search long though, as Nicole held the key.
And when they write about me in history books, they will say he did what had to be done to find out his real name.
Your real name? It's Zach.
Zach Christopher Watterson, and the mystery was solved. But this revelation nearly ended Gumball, and so Nicole legally changed his name to his former nickname. Darwin's name was also not just Darwin Watterson, though this knowledge came much earlier in the show. In season 1, episode 17, The Party, there was a scene where Rachel asked Darwin his name, to which he answered in the most proud way possible.
What's your name?
Darwin, Raglan, Caspian, Ahab, Poseidon, Nicodemus, Watterson III.
You don't seem so bad for a kid.
And it's not just any random name either. Darwin, Raglan, Caspian, Ahab, Poseidon, Nicodemus, Watterson III is a full list of references. Darwin itself is a nod to Charles Darwin, the evolutionary biologist, since Darwin is a fish with legs, which is a common symbol for Darwinism. Raglan could possibly be a reference to a town in New Zealand that is well known for surfing. Caspian is a reference to the Caspian Sea, as well as the character Prince Caspian of Narnia, who is also known as Caspian the Seafarer. Ahab is another seafarer from the book Moby Dick, who is obsessed with hunting down the white whale. Poseidon is the well-known Greek god of the seas, who is supposed to be the protector of sailors. Nicodemus was a Pharisee who had a secret nighttime meeting with Jesus to discuss his teachings, most famously the concept of being born again. This is in similarity to Darwin, who had to be born again as a fish with legs to get back to the Wattersons. The fourth wall. Breaking the fourth wall is a comedy device used in fictional stories in which a character acknowledges the fact that they are characters in a work of fiction and are actually aware of being such and tell the audience. The wall that often separates the two worlds is broken, and the Amazing World of Gumball is notorious for routinely incorporating this into their scripts, ranging from being subtle to having whole sections or significant episodes based around them breaking the fourth wall. Right from episode 1 of the show, the DVD, the show makes no attempts to hide it. After feeling for Darwin's cheekbones, Gumball looks at the viewer and breaks the fourth wall. While Gumball breaks the fourth wall more than any other character, Rob is the only character who is fully aware that he's a cartoon. The concept becomes highlighted in episodes like The Money and the finale. The Money is an episode that becomes the embodiment of without money, you are nothing, which led to this visual piece.
We need to get out of here!
The finale goes into breaking the fourth wall in a very unique way. The entire plot is centered around how the entire world would have completely fallen apart had the seed not been reset between episodes. The consequences of grand-scale destruction to all of the micro-catastrophes that the whole cast of characters caused in previous episodes came to a head, which leads to lots of fictional compensation, restarting school, and even prison. They make things indefinitely worse, from more crashes to creating a whole mob of Elmore citizens. In fact, this is the only episode that ends because Gumball breaks the fourth wall once again. But if you guys want to see fourth wall breaks, I made a video going over literally every fourth wall break in Gumball, so go check it out if you haven't already. With that, we come to the end of layer 1. The next layer will still be known to frequent watchers of the show, but we're definitely getting a lot more deep in lore, and later on, I guarantee only the biggest fans will know about it. Darwin's origin. As if Darwin's name didn't come as a surprise, fans had to wait till season 4 to hear the whole story on how he became a Watterson. This plot led to the first 2-part episode in the series, called The Origins Part 1 and Part 2. The whole idea of getting a pet started with Nicole and not getting sleep because of 4-year-old Gumball's hyperactivity, and for a while, the first ever Darwin entered the Wattersons' household, and it worked until it had a sad way of going out.
Swing low!
And it wouldn't be an isolated incident, as Richard kept replacing the fish. Larry had to inform him that every remaining fish jumped out of the tank once they saw him coming. Richard's day is only saved because of a mysterious van.
Psst! The call of a freshly opened soda.
No, over here.
A talking van.
No, I'm inside. My head?
No, the van!
Gumball quickly realizes that Darwin was not like other fish, and even watches him gain the ability to speak. But the first part of the episode ends in tragedy, with the very thing that Gumball tried to prevent.
Everybody say cheese in 3, 2.
The next episode then begins with Darwin coming out of the sewer and into the sea, meeting several other fishes. He frantically asks them how to get home. The other fish say they can't get on land, but Darwin chooses not to give up. He swims faster and jumps out of the sea, but quickly collapses on the sand due to not having lungs. And it seemed that only one person could save Darwin, Gumball.
Come back, buddy. I believe in you.
But lots of dangers block the path back to Elmore, including pest control. But Darwin still keeps at it, escaping his cell and making it back to Elmore. This leads to a heartfelt moment that would permanently become a part of Darwin's character design, his shoes.
Thank you. I'll never take them off.
The Watersons officially adopt Darwin as a member of the family, and the rest from there is history. Anton and reincarnation. Anton is a small piece of slightly burnt toast. His face appears to be made up of several particularly burned sections. He wears white gloves on his skinny black arms. He also wears little red, white, and purple shoes. The curious thing about him is Anton has been seen dying on screen several times, yet somehow he always manages to get reborn. The process behind this phenomenon is revealed in the recipe, where Gumball and Darwin witness his parents remaking Anton by toasting a piece of bread at a certain setting.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
It's later discovered that multiple Anton clones have been made this way, though unless toasted at just the right temperature for the right amount of time, the personality may be varied a bit. Burning the bread, for example, creates Ant 1, an evil, vengeful Anton with a deep voice. Luckily for them, most of Gumball and Anton's clones turn out to be naive and gullible, because most of the time they didn't toast the bread enough. The proper process might be more complicated though, as the new Anton seems to have the memories of the previous one, unlike Gumball and Darwin's Anton clones, who only repeat a few words and blindly follow orders. The creation of life in the show, like the variety of life forms themselves, is given very little explanation. Principal Brown isn't a principal. Principal Nigel Brown is very well known to be not very responsible when it comes to running the school, and doesn't seem to care about the well-being of his students. And in the episode The Fraud, Darwin even finds high heels in his safe, which explains his particular movement style and sound.
If there's no school, then there's nothing to lose.
Excuse me, Principal Brown.
Take the children outside, Coach. I'm gonna blow up the school.
The same episode revealed quite a bit about the so-called principal, as the entire plot revolves around Gumball finding out that Principal Brown's diploma is fake, and how he got the role is beyond me, but it definitely seems to be his biggest secret, considering the lengths he went through in the episode.
Now, all I have to do is increase the oxygen supply, shut off the carbon dioxide release valve, which should, combined with the boiling H2O, kickstart a reaction, which will blow up the whole school.
Stop! Don't do that!
Becoming the villain of an entire episode is definitely taking a step too far in the wrong direction, and no one seems to really mind. The adults actually reveal something about themselves to Principal Brown. It reveals that Miss Simeon faked her age for the job. Mr. Small is not a citizen of the United States, and Coach lied on her resume. But in true Gumball fashion, the school blows up anyways.
I'm gonna get this place back on track, starting right here, right now.
But this episode doesn't end till Brown reveals it was his failure in math that kept him from getting a diploma. Principal Brown and Miss Simeon. Speaking of Principal Brown, if there's anything that occupies his time, it's Miss Simeon. Principal Brown and Miss Simeon are both mutually infatuated with each other. This is confirmed when they kiss each other and have romance time in The Burden. Their relationship is tested in The Apology, where they are driven apart by Simeon refusing to to apologize for falsely accusing Gumball and Darwin of being troublemakers, in which case Brown is actually shown to have a spine by threatening to fire her. The wish, though, is perhaps the most the relationship has ever been tested. In it, the two are seen on a date at the edge of a cliff. Even after Principal Brown admits that he'd meant to drive them to the dump, Simeon is not fazed, simply happy to be there to spend time with him. She asks him to say 3 words to her, but the moment is cut short when the car they are in backs off the cliff. Brown is upset and unable to tell Simeon how he feels about her, and that has some disastrous consequences.
Well, I'm tired of getting hurt, and I won't get hurt again! Pick that up and take it to the trash!
She thinks that he's refusing to talk to her and decides to take a vacation to get some time off of their relationship. This would be fixed up by further antics from Gumball and Darwin. This proves to be the ultimate proof for Brown's feelings towards Miss Simeon, because it starts as a chase to acquire the neck pillow to confess his true thoughts, which led to this scene.
So you want to race, huh? What?
No thanks! We're just trying to save this guy's girlfriend!
Winner gets the girl!
The girl is a cushion!
I'll take what I can get!
When the real Simeon is about to leave, she overhears Brown confessing what he assumes to be her. This obviously touches her deeply, and the two reconcile, and the two make up, riding off in the car together. But not everything stays rosy forever. Their relationship makes a turn for the worst in the Inquisition. The two break up due to Miss Simeon wanting to suck up to the new superintendent, though Simeon no longer wants to get back with him after he is revealed to be Rob, who is a child. They get back together in the new show and are shown to be overly publicly affectionate, Jamie and Coach. When you see Jamie and Coach together, no one could have guessed that the pair is related to each other. But that would swiftly change when the 3rd episode of season 3, The Coach, came out. The episode starts with Gumball and Darwin's usual antics, trying to skip gym class. Unfortunately for them, they had other plans.
Why are you kids not in gym class?
We got a sick note.
Where is this sick note exactly?
I think it's in there somewhere.
How convenient. You don't look very sick to me.
Now, back to gym class. Jamie is being her usual self, getting on Gumball's nerves, and the rest of the students didn't have a great time either, getting into some disastrous situations.
I'm at full speed! Do something, anything! Hold on, I'm gonna try and put them back on. In 3, 2...
After that, the cafeteria was full of complaining students, and Jamie tried to bully everyone. But this time, she didn't have much luck, as Coach intervened and made her apologize.
Jamie, you apologize to Waters in this instant.
Yes, Coach, I'm sorry, Coach. I hope these words will make amends and we can be the best of friends.
The next day, with Coach just out of her sight, Jamie went back to her old ways. That's when something interesting happened. Gumball and Darwin saw Jamie get into Coach's car without the teacher noticing. Fearing the worst, the pair follows them, but what they found would shake the foundations of everything they knew.
Coach is your mom?
Not only was Coach a woman, but she was also Jamie's mother. Safe to say, Gumball and Darwin couldn't believe their eyes. Nicole's background. Nicole is the mother of the Watterson family. She's the backbone and only truly responsible member of the family. She is extremely dedicated and would do anything in her power to keep them safe. But the defining relationship in her life is one shared between her and her parents. In The Choices, Nicole's parents make their on-screen debut. In it, it's shown that Nicole's parents were determined to make sure that she would be successful and had ridiculously high expectations of her. Mary Senecourt is introduced in the episode by chastising Nicole about her straight A's report card, claiming that she got an F in gender. Nicole states the F is for female, which her mother replies by saying being a girl is not an excuse. Well, she clenches her fist with the report card in it. When going to her karate tournament, her father breaks the car down, needing Nicole to run. And then what could have been an encouraging moment is completely twisted.
And remember, I know, love you too.
No, I was gonna say second place is first place for losers, but yeah.
Nicole's parents also made her participate in every extracurricular activity at school, leading Nicole to have to participate in many of them simultaneously. And Nicole's mother tried to plan out her whole life, wanting Nicole to graduate high school, graduate law school, and marry a doctor. These expectations led Nicole to think she had to be the best in order for people to like her, until she met Richard, who assured her she did not have to win or succeed for people to like her, including himself. This leads Nicole to choose her own path in life with Richard. However, her parents did not approve of this relationship. This stressful childhood that was brought on by her parents' constant high demands and expectations led Nicole to storm out on her parents in her later teens after an argument. Nicole and her parents remained estranged for 20 years, up until the episode called The Parents, and they did not show up at Nicole and Richard's wedding despite being invited, although it's later revealed that this was a misunderstanding, and they had tried to attend, but went to the wrong location. After making up in the same episode, it's seen that their relationship has mended enough for Mary to start celebrating her daughter's birthday with her again. As seen in the web, in the portrait, Mary and Daniel go through a divorce, but Nicole isn't fazed in the slightest. Evidently, their relationship is still not much of significance to her. Their relationship has also affected her other bonds throughout the show, such as with characters like Yuki. Yuki and Nicole were best friends in their childhood, and were both martial art prodigies. However, having developed a competitive nature, when Nicole's fiery spirit allowed her to defeat Yuki in a tournament, Yuki was dishonored. She left the US to participate in more martial arts to get back at Nicole one day. When that day finally came, Yuki repeatedly challenged and taunted Nicole until she finally broke and accepted the challenge. However, when forced to cooperate and save their children, Yuki apologized to Nicole for letting her jealousy consume her. Nicole accepted her apology, and the two embraced it and became friends again. But the gourmet reveals that Nicole and Yuki didn't properly make up, and they are still heavily antagonistic towards each other. Social media Gumball. The Amazing World of Gumball often redraws its own characters in different ways to highlight a joke or a plot point, like in the episode The Line, when the Watterson family would do anything to get into the first screening of the sequel to the movie Stellar Odyssey. Nicole is the only one to question why they can't go into the second one, given The Line, but each member has their own reasonings as to why this isn't possible. Desperate, Gumball gets an idea. While the Rotten Cupcake and Julius are waiting in line, they hope that the movie will be more unique, but still be faithful to the previous installment. Just then, the Rotten Cupcake gets a post on her phone, which turns out to be a video by Gumball.
I just got back from seeing Stellar Odyssey: The Force rehash. No spoilers, but it's so refreshing to see less CGI space battles and more sock puppets.
This singular video has spurred a whole line of memes, from disturbing social media mods to the players of popular video games. This isn't the only instance though, as Chad Gumball, Riz Gumball, and so many others have gained popularity on the internet. Internet as a character. This show is one of the only ones to make a character out of the very internet. Well, it's not tangible in the real world. Within the show, the internet is depicted as a regular computer with computer mice for hands. He believes he can act like a jerk to people online with no consequences, and thus he has no friends. He also possesses similar personalities to the youth on the internet. Well, at the time that is, saying slang terms such as YOLO. During his debut in the episode The Internet, he serves as the main antagonist. The episode starts with Gumball stumbling upon a screamer video, and he freaks out for a prolonged amount of time. After calming down, he clicks on the next video and discovers he accidentally turned the webcam on, recording his screaming and publishing the said video all over the internet. He panics, and Darwin reassures him that he's a drop of embarrassment in an ocean of shame, but this would not be the case.
That's more views than there are people on Earth!
He vows to have the video removed. He and Darwin then meet with Hayden, the cyber police, who has a very minimal and unreliable grasp of modern technology. After some futile attempts, he decides to delete the internet by throwing the computer into the trash. The episode goes into highlighting how the internet tempts people into wasting their time. It's then shown that the internet has the ability to control the continents of the internet, along with several other pieces of technology, possibly via hacking. Even though the episode ends on a positive tone, all things considered, even the last line of dialogue speaks volumes.
Get bent! This is the internet you're talking to!
Gumball Comics. The Amazing World of Gumball has a comic book series published by Boom Studios. The series was written by Frank Gibson and illustrated by Tyson Hesse. The first issue also has 5 variant covers, while the subsequent issues only have 3. The main series ran for a total of 8 issues before being discontinued due to Boom never intending to do any further issues after the original 8 they'd commissioned for their later paperback volume releases. Plus, due to Frank Gibson and Tyson Hesse both being busy with other projects after the 8 issues releasing, working on any other future issues would have been impossible regardless. As a result, issues 9 and 10, announced at Boom Studios' monthly solicitations months prior to their now canceled release, were scrapped. All that remains are the covers produced for these issues. These covers were later recycled for other comic publications. However, one-shot issues, as well as graphic novels, were still being published until 2019. The comics apparently take place in or after season 3, because Coach and Unshelled Penny appear in issue 6. Unlike the series, however, Rachel Wilson appears as a character in quite a few of the graphic novels, while Rob does not, insinuating that the comics are in a different timeline entirely. A 4-page story titled Pants appears in the 2014 issue of Kaboom! Kaboom! Summer Blast, distributed as a part of Free Comic Book Day. These comics, although official, are not canon to the main series. Penny and Leslie. Perhaps one of the lesser-known relationships is the one shared by Penny and Leslie. This would come to be revealed in the episode The Flower. Gumball has become quite jealous after her cheerleading routine went wrong. He goes on to spy on and mock Leslie, thinking that Leslie got closer to Penny than he did. The jealousy in him tries to take it a step further by framing Leslie for theft of a trophy, but things don't go according to plan.
Arrest this man!
What are you talking about?
The case of the stolen trophy, which I have just found in his conveniently open locker.
Principal Brown, I think it's pretty obvious what's happened here.
He did it.
Even after making Gumball take the fall, jealousy was not done yet. Once he realized that Gumball was not sent to prison for his actions, he decided to flee the country. When that didn't work either though, a dazed Gumball agrees to make amends, but it was all a trap. In fact, it makes Gumball completely feral.
I guess we won't be instructing you at school tomorrow.
To get everything back in order, Carrie conducts an exorcism, which at first appears to be successful, but Penny then accidentally breaks the protection. This causes chaos, and there is only one solution.
Really? You gotta break up with Leslie! What are you talking about?
That's when Gumball gets to know that the pair were cousins, thus breaking his jealousy. Carrie and her visibility. In the episode The Ghost, Carrie decides that she wants to taste real food and possesses Gumball's body. So the whole episode centers around this possession, with Carrie eating all the food she can find. It continues until Gumball gets so fat that he has to roll around everywhere. Carrie then only stops after she realizes that she's taken things too far. Gumball introduces her to his dad, Richard, and we all know Richard happens to be a food enjoyer, so the possession starts again. This episode would be the first where Carrie had a major role. Despite appearing in previous episodes, some characteristics of her were more clearly explained, though the second season's episode Halloween would tie all these aspects together. In the episode, after leaving Anais stuck in a tree, Gumball and Darwin would attend the Halloween party to see the other ghosts. Carrie gives the pair one drop, and only one drop of a mysterious potion, so naturally the question arrives as to why Carrie is always visible. This is explained when it's revealed in The Mirror that a mortal man named the Snatcher, formerly known as Vladis, is her father. A spell from the Forbidden Book allowed the living and dead to touch, which led to Carrie's conception. Carrie lived through the medieval era, making her 327 years old, despite the series. But of course, narratively, she's treated like a teenager like the rest of Elmore Junior High, being the product of a mortal and a ghost. Carrie belongs in the real world, and not banished to the underworld like the rest of them. Timeline in Gumball. The Amazing World of Gumball takes place in a modern setting, with a, quote, floating timeline. A floating timeline, also known as a sliding timescale, is a device used in fiction, particularly in long-running comics and animation, to explain why characters age little or not at all, while the setting around them remains parallel to the real world. This term is used in the comics community to refer to series that take place in a continuous present. This means that the characters live in the present day, but don't age, despite the show using contemporary technology like smartphones and social media. Some evidence suggests the characters were born in the late 1990s, around 1999, based on Gumball being 12 years old when the show premiered in 2011. It was backed up by a flashback where Richard explains that the reason the Watersons are broke is because while Nicole was still in the hospital after giving birth to Gumball, he got scammed by one of those late 90s claim your free gift scams that were all over the internet back then. The scammers took the $30K that Nicole had saved up in exchange for a star. It's also been confirmed that time does move in the Gumball universe, but the characters literally are unable to age past the age they became in 2011. So years are passing as the show goes on, but only Gumball, Darwin, and Rob realize this. The show's conflicting aesthetics, such as 80s style clothes and modern day smartphones, are due to its unique style of art and the deliberate use of a floating timeline. The Cartoon Network notebook. The magic notebook first appeared in The Shippening, where the Awesome Store drops it while speeding past Sarah. The notebook has the ability to make anything the user writes/draw in it become real, as demonstrated by Sarah in The Shippening. When she writes fiction and draws fan art with original characters, it takes written content very literally, as any metaphors made in the text are translated into reality, as seen with horrific results. This is also the case with pieces of art drawn in the book, as when a ripped out page is ruined, the same effect happens to the character in reality. People affected by the book seem to be aware of the book's doing, yet their feelings can be manipulated by it. The notebook has the Cartoon Network logo ingrained into its cover, thus breaking the fourth wall. We would find out later that the book was wanted by the police, and by being in possession of it, Sarah would become wanted too. The concept of this could also be a reference to Maxwell's notebook from the Scribblenauts series, as both notebooks allow anything written in them to become reality. Gumball and Chowder. Within the early concept of the show, there existed an entirely new voice actor for Gumball, Nicky Jones. He is famous for lending his voice to another popular main character from a different show, Chowder. He in fact makes a cameo during one of the fourth wall breaks within that show. Though he doesn't go on to play Gumball in the main series, this has led fans to theorize about the two worlds. Several similarities between the shows have been pointed out. The worlds are both made of anthropomorphic creatures based on animals and inanimate objects. For instance, Chowder and Gumball are both partly cat creatures, with Schnitzel and Larry being inanimate objects, a rock and a box respectively. Both worlds have puppet characters like Carl and Rocky. Both series regularly break the fourth wall, and characters display an awareness of being in some kind of television show. Richard, Anais, and Richard's mother, Granny JoJo, resemble Panny from Chowder. This could mean that they are both descendants of Chowder and Panny, explaining the fit with Richard's personality and habits, including his love for food. There are some differences as well. For example, Elmore and Marzipan have different architecture and styles. Food has regular names in Gumball, whereas Chowder has commercial names for food items. People regularly use cars in Gumball, while in Chowder they drive snail cars. Of course, they could have simple answers. Chowder could be set sometime in the past before for Gumball. This could explain snail cars eventually being replaced by mechanical cars. And as for the architecture, Chowder's descendants could have migrated to Elmore at some point before the events of Gumball. With that, Layer 2 comes to a close, and Layer 3 will only be things that frequent watchers of Gumball would know. Real-world references. The Amazing World of Gumball is no stranger to referencing the real world. In fact, there are so many that I can't even put all of them in a video of their own. But here are the highlights. The Line is an episode that centers around the Watersons doing whatever it takes to get into the first screening of the last Stellar Odyssey sequel. The whole episode has a lot of references to Star Wars in general.
I think we will get into the first screening.
No, you won't.
Yes, we will.
No, you won't.
But there's also the chase sequence in the episode, where an interesting thing happens.
Look, the exit! I have you now. I'll take these myself. Cover me. Pew 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 pew.
Which of course is a reference to Star Wars Episode 5, specifically the Battle of Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. The console is another episode where Gumball is given a cursed video game console, and as a consequence, Elmore becomes trapped inside of a fantasy RPG world. The Watterson siblings have to battle their way through town, unraveling the secrets of their new virtual reality. This entire episode is an ode to Final Fantasy, from beginning to end. A lesser known fact is that the voice actor for Gumball in Japan is the same voice actor for Naruto, Junko Takuchi. This makes the anime fighting scene in the Fury all the more memorable. There are more subtle references, such as the costumes Richard, Banana Joe, and Mr. Smallwar in the Ghouls, but perhaps the most iconic reference is this scene where Gumball recreates how to basic and shows how easy it is to make a perfect meal in the episode called The Traitor. Season 6. Banana Barbara would have quite the character arc in the show. As seen in The Mother, she does not seem to be very bright, and is rather oblivious to her surroundings. She has also been shown to have a very creepy demeanor.
Heads up! Dude, you should have called from where the can is coming.
Later in the season, things would take a turn in the episode called The Oracle. The entire plot is Gumball finding a painting that predicts the future, and he is willing to do anything to stop it, but the ending would speak for itself.
There was a big loser.
How could I let this happen?
You didn't, Gumball. You made it happen.
But how could Banana Barbara have known?
The artist of the painting, Banana Barbara, of course. This arc would continue in the future, when it's revealed that she used to be competent and smart, but after an internship at Chanex Inc., she got so stressed that she got burnt out and became the way she is now. But this episode would hold a lot of significance, because it also predicts the ending of the entire show, and things don't look so bright here.
See ya in the future, Rob.
But there is no future.
Knowing that Barbara is always right doesn't help things, but this episode would have a bigger impact if it was released as a planned sequence, and it was supposed to be the opener of the season, but this episode had a lot of production problems, so it was delayed. So delayed, in fact, that in early development, this episode originally had Donnell Hansley Jr., Darwin's previous voice actor, but due to this episode being delayed, they had to re-record Darwin's lines with Christian J. Simon. Had this gone on as planned, it would have set up a much better narrative to the season, alluding things towards the Inquisition much earlier than we got when The Rivals was the first episode. Parody websites. Gumball being set in a floating timeline has another consequence: the use of real-life websites to build the digital aspect of Elmore. There is Elmore Stream It, which is a website that appears in the G. It's based on video streaming sites, such as YouTube, and contains many videos made by Elmore citizens.
When did you post this? We didn't. Some kids at school did.
There is also an official YouTube channel in the real world that was formerly known as Elmore Stream, but it's now renamed to The Amazing World of Gumball. Elmore Plus is a social networking website that many Elmore residents use, and at first it appears in the Colossus. Its name is a reference to Google Plus. Similarly, Facebook is a website in Elmore that appears in the Genius. Rob's Facebook page appeared in green and blue. That is seen when Gumball Gumball turned on the internet. He seems to be friends with Carmen, Leslie, Alan, and Terry. A picture of Rob wearing a Mustang mask in the desert is shown as well. Referencing Facebook, Fessy is a French word for buttock, reminiscent of the show's creator, Ben Beauclet's ethnicity. El Photomore is a website that appears in The Genius, in which Rachel appears in a photo. It's based on photo sharing websites such as Flickr. And along the same lines, Elmoregram is a website used for sharing images that first appears in The Nuisance. Its name is a reference to Instagram, but has an interesting resembling to Tumblr, with square-framed profile pictures and a list displaying users who have interacted with posts. Tumblr has its own parody called Rambler, and Twitter follows suit with Tweeter. Ironically, Elmore Buzz is a social news website that appears in the test. Gumball, Darwin, and Sarah find a personality test on there, and it's a parody of clickbait websites such as BuzzFeed. Original characters. Speaking of references, Gumball as a show did a really unique thing that caused a lot of controversy. For that, we have to go back to the episode The Shippening. This episode cast a lot of original characters that came out of the beloved fandom. This episode also has other hidden references that a lot of viewers missed. First is the name itself. The Shippening is a reference to the movie The Happening, and the track that plays, which sounds like this. It's a parody of the popular show Death Note L's theme song. That entire show is a darker version of what happens in the episode. It's easy to see where the inspiration came from, as Gumball is not subtle when it comes to references.
Her heart pounding in her chest. Penny said to Banana Joe, let's never split.
The episode also takes into account the crazy world of the internet, including shippings of different characters, whether canon or not, and Sarah is walking, talking proof of this. And that brings us to the world of original characters. If you followed Gumball since its beginning, you might have seen Zakira Lopez Kirby and Alexandria Bexey's drawings based on the show, which made it into the episode.
You.
And it's also confirmed that the show's team sourced it from DeviantArt, giving fan artists a chance to be on the big screen. Zach Silva can still be found on the DeviantArt website, and it looks pretty much the same as Zakira Lopez Kirby by a user Migs Garcia 5127, who has acknowledged the appearance. Zach is also said to have fire powers, and that this is useful at nighttime, using them to light up the surrounding darkness around him. He can also fly, according to the story, but he never does, because apparently there's nothing to fly over. Darwin's character was made by a user called Gumball Bunny, who they called Esklin. The person behind the account is called Milan Johnson, who created the post on August 21st, 2013. That's not the only thing they sourced though, as the idea of Gumball and Carrie come from the Idea Wiki. This website is known for people getting their posts about ideas that they have for upcoming additions to popular TV shows. On the page, a post titled The New Amazing World of Gumball appears. Its synopsis reads, it takes place after the events of The Amazing World of Gumball. In other cases, Gumball's family and friends are all grown up and married. The picture given to this page is one of Gumball and Carrie, both grown up and standing side by side, suggesting that they were married. And this concept made it onto the episode, giving us this.
Any weird, and here we go.
Of course, the internet has also shipped Gumball and Darwin together, and this episode referenced that too. This is after knowing that the pair are siblings, but it made for this iconic scene.
I agree. I always thought I was the one wearing the pants in this relationship.
Chinese goat milk promo. Apparently, someone looked at Gumball and thought this would be great as a promotion for goat milk. Miracle Star, or according to the literal transition of the Chinese title, the Weird, Wonderful, and Delightful Star is a Chinese animated series created by Chinese food company Soyan Foods to promote a brand of goat milk of the same name. The series is about a goat named Miao Ling, or famously referenced to as Kiki, and his talking pet frog named Guagua, or otherwise known as Quack, who lives in an apartment with their parents. Miracle Star is known for imitating scenes, character designs, and the animation style of The Amazing World of Gumball. The series aired from 2014 to 2017, with a total of 12 episodes broadcast, before being canceled due to negative reviews. In response to the plagiarism, Cartoon Network iconically released the 167th episode of Gumball, The Copycats, to address this. This gave us Chi-Chi, alongside alongside his brother Ribbit. Chi-Chi is the star of The Incredible World of Chi-Chi, a series imitating the actions of the Watterson family. Early TV guide summaries, the name Kiki was used to refer to Chi-Chi as well. Chi-Chi's lip syncing also only uses a few frames and looks choppy to match Miracle Star's animation. Sluzzletag. Sluzzletag is a fictional holiday created in Elmore to combat the Depression of January. It is celebrated on January 10th or possibly January 11th if the episode takes place during a leap year, and it also gives kids a day off of school. Its name is meaningless, being chosen by Gumball following a brainstorming session with his siblings. Other potential candidates included Fun Day, Dependence Day, Wigtide, Dink Party, Schnitzel Time, and Goo Goo Bash. As with the holiday, the traditions of Sluzzletag have no significance, being made up largely on the go by Gumball to add legitimacy to the whole thing, while also being convenient in his execution of it. The holiday is meant to celebrate the spirit of Sluzzle Dude, whose appearance consists of a beard, sneakers, and a leather coat, mirroring Santa Claus. He delivers presents in a magic van led by Dormermans. He gets into the house to deliver presents through the toilet, and because of this, the residents of Elmore decorate their bathroom accordingly, with skeletons and barbed wire, and milk and cookies that are dumped down the toilet for him. Another key aspect of Sluzzletag is because Gumball had to find a way to make the holiday work, the presents delivered are the discarded gifts nobody wants from Christmas. Traditional Sluzzletag music contains grindcore and even carolers singing grindcore versions of Christmas tunes. As for food, it's made up of processed junk food that is traditionally eaten on Sluzzletag. A specialty is the Sluzzlewurst, which was invented by Richard, made of cheese, bacon, processed meats, and other junk food jammed into a sausage. Sluzzlewursts are so fatty that they can cause people to sweat butter.
Dad, the Sluzzlewurst is so fatty, I'm sweating butter.
Oh, butter.
A Sluzzletag stop-motion animated special plays on the holiday titled The Night Before Sluzzletag, but due to Sluzzletag's last-minute creation, only a few seconds were made in time for its initial broadcast.
Unfortunately, animation is a lengthy process, and that's all we've had time to make.
Among the gifts given out to the residents of Elmore to commemorate Sluzzletag are a treadmill for Banana Joe, a Dreamweaver for Tobias, high heels for Leslie, a mug tree for Darwin, and a fish plaque for Miss Simeon from Principal Brown, Anais, and Daisy. Daisy the donkey is a recurring fictional character in the amazing world of Gumball. She's a pink and yellow stuffed donkey that was first shown as a character of the Daisy the Donkey show in The Responsible. She seems to be a very popular character in the series, seeing as she even has her own cereal, video game, and ice show, TV show, and a theme park based off of her. Anais in particular seems to be very obsessed with her, and even more so in the earlier seasons. The name of Daisy's own theme park, Daisyland, is based off the real theme park, Disneyland. Daisy has been seen all over the cover of a magazine, suggesting that she is a pop culture icon in the Gumball universe. In The Quest, Daisy was given to Tina by Anais, following Tina's heartfelt confession.
You know what, Tina? I think you need Daisy more than I do. Yeah.
However, in future episodes, she's seen again with Anais. It is possible that this new Daisy is a replacement. In The Responsible, the closed captions call her show Daisy the Dog Show, which is in contrast to the fact that Daisy is a donkey. In The World, it's revealed that Anais received Daisy as a birthday present from Richard and Nicole, sparking the start of the saga in Christmas. There's a poster for Daisy on Ice in the background of Nicole's house when she was a little girl, implying the character's been around for several decades. The night is probably her biggest role, with Daisy shown to be alive and have consciousness. She dreams of swapping roles with Anais and torturing her. In the news, Kip Schlesinger claims that her real name is Anton Perez. This could be the name of her puppeteer, but Perez is also a real-life director on The Amazing World of Gumball. Gumball and his other pet, with Darwin being adopted as a sibling rather than a pet, there was now space for an actual pet in the Watterson family, and that's the foundation of the episode The Puppy. The episode begins with Gumball, Anais, and Darwin rehearsing their attempt to acquire one, but by the time they were done, Richard already had something in store for them.
What? What's in the box then?
A puppy. That's what you guys wanted, wasn't it?
Ugh, what is that? Looks like an angry green hat.
Despite their disappointment, Nicole put them in charge of their new pet. The siblings would try their hardest to bond with the turtle, but things didn't go so well for them.
Now I know what you're gonna say. You promised to take care of it. You're shirking responsibility. But ask yourself this.
Understandably, they try to convince Richard to get rid of the turtle, but Richard told them that it's only possible if they did something truly horrific. Sure enough, Nicole called out the horrific threshold that has been reached, and they had to take the pet back. But to their dismay, the Awesome Store was a van and was no longer at the parking lot where Richard got the turtle. By the time they mapped out a plan, they realized they had left the turtle out in the sun.
I'll always think fondly of the way he put fear into my heart.
After it came back alive, it started to cause a lot of chaos. All of this meant one thing, that the only solution was to trap the turtle. But even that doesn't go according to plan.
Hey, wait! What about the ball?
What about my butt?
In the end, Anais manages to capture it in a bowl, but she also announces that they have no choice but to keep it until it dies. The only catch is that turtles live for more than 130 years. But the episode ends there. Clearly, the mischief was reserved for another episode, and this instance would be in the nest. In this episode, the residents of Elmore mysteriously disappear. This prompts Gumball and Darwin to become detectives, and they find something odd in their investigation.
You might want to take a look at this.
Anais finds out that the egg comes from a Trionox, the same species as their evil turtle. Much to her horror, the egg hatched while she was researching, and the hatchling attacked her, alerting Gumball and Darwin, who came to rescue her.
Gumball, distract it!
Once the danger passes, Anais reveals that the evil turtle is actually female and escaped while being pregnant. Rather than being straight up evil, after Nicole and Richard are informed about this, the family investigates the area underneath the house, where Nicole sees a whole breeding ground filled with the turtle's evil eggs, as well as the missing locals. Just as Nicole gets them out, the egg begins to hatch. The countless hatchlings spread all over Elmore, wreaking havoc everywhere they go. Anais then finds out that the hatchlings will take over any territory they can, unless they have their mother to guide them. So the only way they will stop the hatchlings from destroying Elmore is to find the evil turtle, so that she can lead her offspring to the river. Thankfully, the family finds the turtle captured in the pest controller's van. They then show her to her offspring. The plan finally works, and Gumball has a moment with the turtle that he's hated for so long.
Goodbye, evil turtle.
The family observes the evil turtle swimming away with her babies in awe, with Gumball revealing that their pet was never actually evil, but simply a caring parent. But of course, the turtles attack and sink a nearby ship, much to the family's shock. Mr. Cornell and Mrs. Mackham. If you thought Principal Brown and Miss Simeon were the only two faculty of Elmore Junior High to be involved with each other, you'd be wrong. Mr. Moonchild Cornell makes his first appearance in the others. Though a minor role, it's revealed that he's a geography teacher at the school. Mrs. Joan Markham is a minor character in the amazing world of Gumball. Her full name is a homage to one of the show's writers, Joe Markham, and she is the school nurse of Elmore Junior High. She also dislikes Miss Simeon because she believes that her treatment of students is terrible, as seen in The Joy. But their relationship is explored in the episode The Cage. The plot starts off with Mr. Cornell entering the nurse's office with a black eye and chipped tooth, the same injuries that Gumball and Darwin got at the start of the episode. When the pair asked him what happened to his face, Mr. Cornell says that he got hurt after he walked into the cage. Gumball misunderstands, assuming Mr. Cornell is an MMA fighter. Mr. Cornell tries to correct him, but stops when he sees Mrs. Mackham's reaction.
Well, when you're fighting in the cage, the most important muscle is the heart, and right now, you're giving mine a workout.
In the gym, Mr. Cornell explains to the boys that the MMA fighters love what they do, and that their fighting is another form of love. Gumball and Darwin then perform an awkward fight, but it ends with a shocking revelation from Principal Brown.
This is our last resort. We've already cut everything we can from the budget.
So you're just gonna privatize the school like some kind of prison?
Funny you should say that. Oh, don't worry. Just means one of your new classmates has escaped.
Darwin later finds a billboard advertising an MMA challenger fight. Considering this to be the solution to the school's financial problems, the pair go to Mr. Cornell. He declines at first, but Mrs. Mackham manages to convince him to join. But things at the conference already start to spoil the ending of the episode. At the park, Gumball and Darwin show their concern for Mr. Cornell, to the point of showing him video footage of Jojo sinking a US Navy ship to prove how dangerous he is. Mr. Cornell assures the boys that he's going to let Jojo wear himself down with the training. While he relaxes, Gumball tries to take Mr. Cornell out of the fight, but after a long negotiation, they agree that Jojo will go easy to save the school. However, Mr. Cornell hears the entire conversation and does something that regains the faith that the pair had with their teacher.
How on earth are you gonna hit this guy?
With my heart, like this!
At the faithful event, Mr. Cornell prepares to fight Jojo. As he enters the stadium, Gumball, Darwin, and Mrs. Mackham are waiting for him. Finally, Mr. Cornell's dreams come true.
Get him.
Mr. Cornell then admits to Gumball and Darwin that he lied about being an MMA fighter, and that by the cage, he meant that he walked into a hamster cage, and that it happened due to him trying to lick his elbow. Additionally, Principal Brown reveals the hole that Mr. Cornell punched into the wall as an escape tunnel dug by the school's prisoners. Gumball tells him to get out of the ring, but Mr. Cornell refuses. He's dead set on fighting Jojo. The fight goes exactly as everyone expected. Everyone in the stadium stares back and forth in silence. Gumball mentions at least they got the money to save the school, and the episode ends. Let there be color. When it comes to the character Alan, Crow seems like he's the definition of perfect. He has good looks, a friendly demeanor, and a nice attitude. With a high-pitched voice, mainly because it's filled with helium. Alan sacrifices himself selfishly in the need of other people, and always seems to have a positive outlook on things, regardless of how negative they might appear to other people. Even though many congratulate Alan on his deeds, almost everyone at Elmore Junior High is disgusted by his relationship with Carmen. Alan's good doer personality annoys Gumball to the point that in The Saint, Gumball sets out to prove Alan has a dark side by any means necessary. True to his record of selfishness, Alan eventually pretends to be extremely annoyed by squeaking footsteps, simply to appease Gumball. However, Gumball was later proven right in the vision. Alan is revealed to have extremely manipulative, egotistical, and power-hungry inner thoughts. He can outright take advantage of people's vulnerability to raise in power. The episode also shows his intense hatred for sad people and the evil things he plans to do with them in his happy camps. But his importance to the functioning of the world has to come from the episode The Faith. The episode starts off with Gumball, Darwin, and Richard watching Elmore News. The boys are sitting on the couch eating gray pellet-shaped cereal. The display glitches in and out, and the color drains from it. Anais comes into the living room, completely grayed out, and makes the family aware of the situation they're in. They hear car horns outside their house, and look out to see a traffic jam. Some of the cars are still in color, but the whole jam is slowly turning gray. In the middle of all this, Donut Cop tries to restore order by telling various gray cars to move forward. However, as they're all gray, the cars simply ram into him. Gumball and Darwin investigate Elmore. First, they walk past the mall, where Rocky is on trawler. His blind date says that she will be the one in gray, but Rocky looks up to see all the girls in sight turning gray. He shrugs, freshens his breath, and walks towards the girls, but that does not have a happy ending. At the Elmore Stadium, the football team and crowd supporting them turns gray, meaning that neither can be distinguished from each other. This provokes the milk guy to take up his true passion, magic, since he's no longer under the spell of football. The butter knife agrees, but instead says he wishes to take up embroidery. The world was slowly descending into chaos at this point.
Wait, has what?
After witnessing more of these events, they figure out where the source of the grayness is and attempt to reach it, but they can't even get close because a wave of despair hits them every time they try. Still, the pair push through, weeping, and encounter Alan sitting alone on a swing.
Hey, Alan, what's wrong? I've lost it.
They ask him what the matter is, and he explains that he's lost faith in the world, claiming that people will never change. He becomes even more depressed when he observes Gumball's dislike for him, which Gumball fails to hide. He claims no matter what he does, the world will never be perfect, and thus attempting to help out is pointless. The brothers then break out in a song and try to help him. Alan thankfully realizes the truth in their words, and the world's colors return. This implies that Alan is a forgiving and understanding person. Despite how frequently things go wrong for him and the rest of the citizens of Elmore, he still has a lot of faith in the world, and Elmore is all the better for it. With that, Layer 3 comes to a close, and now we'll go closer to the secrets hidden within the show. Original concept. Gumball, or Early Reel as it's more commonly known, is the short test pilot of The Amazing World of Gumball, lasting 1 minute and 30 seconds. The short was produced on May 9th, 2008 by Ben Boclet and Studio Soy as a demonstration for some of the prototypic appearances of the series' characters. It was uploaded to YouTube by Boclet around February of 2010, but was quickly removed soon after by Cartoon Network for copyright-related reasons. For the following few years, it became lost media, with only a few screenshots existing online. That is, until January 18th, 2013, when it was officially re-released on YouTube by Ben Boclet under the title Gumball 1 Minute Animation Test, this time with permission from Cartoon Network. The reel, however, was not aired on television. Gumball explains to Darwin that today they're gonna try to break out of school, and shows him an oversimplified version of their plan, which goes something like this.
As you can see, I've simplified the plan. It is now foolproof.
The boys mount a seesaw, and Gumball asks his brother if he's ready. Darwin is still unclear of what they're doing, but Gumball executes the plan regardless. This sets off a chain reaction, rapidly introducing most of the cast we see later in the main series. However, when Hector's butt squeezes together and makes the boys kiss, they both cry out in disgust. And after this, Gumball is shown under a background of the sky, as what we would see become the final notes of the opener theme as the show plays, ending the reel. Richard and Twitter. Richard's Twitter was a part of an online social media campaign related to the Amazing World of Gumball's launch in 2011, alongside Anais' Flickr, and now a Lost Watterson family vlog. It's a Twitter account with multiple tweets and images supposedly posted by Richard Watterson. Created in March 2011, posts continued for a year until the account finally stopped posting in March 2012. Although the Twitter account is official, it's unclear of whether its contents can be considered canon. The handle the account was under is called I Am Richard W, with the bio written in some lazy way that portrayed how he is in the series. I love Nicole, Gumball, Darwin, Anais, sausages, video games, and the internet. The portfolio also includes a link to the formerly called Elmore Stream YouTube channel, which we know the name has since been changed to The Amazing World of Gumball. The profile has 206 tweets, spanning from July 2011 to March 2012. These were mostly just Richard's thoughts and ideas, as well as a few images, though he also frequently interacted with other users and responded to comments and tweets. Most of these tweets he replied to no longer exist, leaving only his response to them. There were even replies from Zach Silva, the Gumball fan art artist, under the handle MegaZach30. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows for Richard online, as he was given his fair share of hate as well. One user wrote, "Not that I've seen too many Richard haters, but I think their main problem was that he's too much like the typical idiot father in cartoons. He is essentially a man-child that blew through all the Wattersons' money, thus leaving them poor, as seen in The Treasure. To keep this short, it's supposed to be that the husband and wife support themselves and the family, but Nicole is left doing all of it on her own, and she's stuck cleaning after every single short-sighted, dim-witted mistake that Richard makes. This seems to be the center of why people throw shade at Richard since the start of the show, but as the seasons progress, more of his caring side is seen, which makes all of this a little lighter on the viewers.
Just close your eyes and breathe deeply. You can do this.
Anais and Flickr. Richard is not the only one who's had his share of internet presence. In the house, child prodigy Anais would too. It is a profile on the photo sharing site Flickr, with a host of photos supposedly taken by Anais and her family, as well as the various odd bits and pieces, alongside events of her day-to-day life in the town of Elmore. The account was created around March of 2011, proving that the account was planned before the TV show's air dates in the US and the UK. Updates stopped later that year, in December of 2011. The account had a short bio on its page, supposedly written by Anais herself. Take a look at some of the pictures I've taken around Elmore with my brand new camera. Enjoy. Anais has 2 albums listed on her account, Elmore and Family Life, each with its own collection. As well as posting photos, Anais has also responded to 2 comments asking her questions. The camera Anais claims to be using in one of her comments, a Diana Mini with flash, is a real-life camera that can be purchased online. The second comment also had Anais confirming that she would not be posting any more photos, at least for a while. In the image Spray Today, Gone Tomorrow, Rocky can be seen cleaning one of the scrapped characters who was supposed to make it to the show, Splatty. There would be a few references hidden in the photo as well. In Carrie's picture titled Carrie at the Emo Shop, the poster of the 3 wolves howling at the moon is a reference to a t-shirt sold on Amazon that has generated several humorous reviews. Bisou is the French word for kiss, and the sticker is likely a reference to the famous American rock band Kiss. The other sticker, ABCD, is a reference to AC/DC. Notably, both of the bands would be advertised on Rocky shirts in seasons 1, 2, and 3. Carrie is also correctly shown to not have reflections in mirrors, a detail that was not established in the show properly until season 4, episode 38, the compilation, Richwood High. Richwood High is a minor location in the amazing world of Gumball. It's the school that Carlton and Troy attend. The school mascot is a pig, as shown in the society. It seems to be populated entirely by humans, despite Sarah being a former student before transferring to Elmore Junior High. Another strange aspect is that the school seems to be drawn, unlike the other locations in the show, which use real-life backgrounds. This applies to not just the school itself, but all the places visible while in the school, including the sky. It made its first appearance in the sweaters. The plot starts when Principal Brown called Gumball and Darwin to his office. Immediately assuming the worst, Gumball freaks out.
Just think about this. Video games, rap music, television, the internet, advertising making us want stuff that your generation shoved down our throats so you can get even richer.
He finally realizes that Principal Brown just wanted to show him Sarah, a new transfer student, around the school. While introducing Sarah to several parts of the school, she mentions rumors at her old school relating to how hardcore Elmore Junior High was, according to everyone there. This inflates the ego of the brothers, but it was short-lived as they can only pretend for so long.
Well, it's normal to be nervous with your reputation.
Oh, reputation?
Yeah. In my last school, all the girls ever used to talk about is how hardcore you guys are.
What else do they say?
Well, they say that you guys are tough and that you'll have those, like, awesome adventures.
After school, Gumball and Darwin are approached by Carlton and Troy, Richwood High students who challenge them to a fight. Why? Because they thought that they were hardcore. Gumball and Darwin, unimpressed and confused by their Richwood High students' reason for a fight, simply turn and walk away. Sarah catches up to them and tells them that Carlton and Troy's father is a powerful man, and that walking away was a bad move. Gumball realizes that Sarah's transfer to Elmore Junior High was the root of this problem and orders her to stay away from him and Darwin. But Sarah continues to follow the boys, and it seems like there's no end to this.
So are you guys gonna fight them? Because I can call them and arrange a time and a place.
Can't take any more of this.
The next day, a Richwood High teacher named Mr. Cree shows up at the Wattersons' house and openly mocks Gumball and Darwin. Unimpressed, Gumball and Darwin sneak out the back door and watch him. Soon after, Carlton and Troy confront them again, only this time with more consequences.
Fighting is never okay.
But let's say he's got his arms around your neck like this. It might seem like a bad spot, but you have to take advantage of your environment.
Left with no choice but to attend the fight, Gumball and Darwin see Mr. Small and Principal Brown for advice. Unfortunately, neither one is of much help. The boys wonder why it seems like everyone wants them to participate in the fight. Penny runs up to Gumball, claiming how heroic it is for him to sacrifice himself, while his heart still wants him to stay and live. He decides the pros outweigh the cons, and mostly out of desire to impress Penny, he accepts the fight. When they get there, Gumball is surprised to find out that the fight is actually a tennis match, pitting him and Darwin against Carlton and Troy. Things start horribly.
Yes.
Neither Gumball nor Darwin care very much about the game and spend most of it goofing off. However, when Mr. Kreese sees that Gumball and Darwin are still doing nothing, he just believes that there's a conspiracy against Richwood High and orders Carlton to injure Gumball. What happens next convinces his opponents that Gumball is indeed hardcore.
We were wrong, Carlton. He truly is hardcore.
The game ends with a Richmond High win, but Carlton walks over and gives them one of his sweaters, calling it his respect. The school would have one more bigger role, though it's mentioned a couple times in season 3 and 6. The role would come in a season 6 episode, The Spin-Offs, where it appears during the Techno Power Teenage Warrior segment. This clip would be an obvious reference to the Power Rangers. Chris Morris. Chris Morris is the school pet of Elmore Junior High. He's made his one and only appearance in season 3, episode 21, The Burden. The episode starts with Principal Brown disgusting the duo while in his office.
Hello! Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to wait for the 70s to come back into fashion. Oh. How long have you been standing there?
Principal Brown assigns them to watch the school hamster, Chris Morris, for the weekend. He also tells them that the hamster is 6 years old and has been caged since he was born. Gumball and Darwin protest, but Principal Brown doesn't want to hear it.
Principal Brown, there's no way!
Just a moment. It's 4 o'clock. I'm not a principal anymore. I don't care.
Forced with what they think is a hamster now, Gumball is pretty excited for his date with Penny the next day. But the brothers fight over who should take care of the hamster.
Fine, I'll look after him then. But it's your fault if this drain-hair burrito uses his last breath to ruin my date.
The hamster on the date seems to do Gumball a favor, as he impresses Penny with how good he is at taking care of animals. Back at home, Darwin is angry at being left out. To make him feel better, Gumball hypes up Chris Morris and gives it to Darwin to try hanging out with.
It used to just be me and him versus the world. But now all he cares about is
Once Darwin also has a good time with Chris Morris, the pair start to have time together, giving us this montage and the chaos that came after it. Boys finally realize, to their disgust, that Chris Morris was actually Principal Brown's hair, and that they had been kissing it all day. More importantly, they realize that the real Chris Morris was left at school over the weekend without food or water. They rush to school and start chasing the real Chris Morris down.
We're gonna have to adapt to his speed.
How slow would that be?
Like 90s internet slow?
Things get heated as Donut Cop, Miss Simeon, and Principal Brown get involved. During the chase, Gumball and Darwin get trapped in Principal Brown's office, with Chris Morris no longer in their sights. Just as they were about to get caught, Chris Morris comes to the rescue.
We're gonna get busted and they'll throw us in jail for animal cruelty.
Grateful, Gumball makes a decoy in the hamster cage using another lump of hair from Principal Brown, allowing Chris Morris to leave without anyone noticing in his absence. They then take Chris Morris to the wild so that he can be let out of his cage into the sunlight for the first time. It leads to this heartfelt moment in classic Gumball style.
Okay, this is taking forever.
Let's go home.
And so, Chris Morris lived happily ever after, never to see a cage again. Gumball references. We've seen Gumball reference a lot of other shows within its plot lines, but the reverse has also happened quite a lot. The first to do this would be OKKO Let's Be Heroes, during one of the annual Cartoon Network specials, where characters from other TV shows are cast, and where we can find this Easter egg. In the episode, OKKO teams up with Ben 10, who in one of the scenes quickly morphs into different characters from other shows. Among them, Gumball can be spotted. Next up would be in a really popular show, Teen Titans Go. In season 3, episode 20, called Squash and Stretch, a squirrel steals their cereal bowl, and in frustration, the Titan starts changing into other characters. In the middle of all of this, they would watch a parody episode, which takes inspiration off of Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. But instead of those characters, there's a green cat and purple fish. There's also like a million other references to other cartoons, but I made a whole other video on that, so if you guys haven't seen it yet, watch it after this. The Joy Virus. The Joy Virus, or the Joy as it's called by Miss Simeon, is a highly contagious virus. It makes its first and only appearance and major role in the episode The Joy. The virus is triggered when a Wonder Hug, a hug filled with all the love and happiness in the world, is given. It's unknown if it affects the person who gives the hug. The Wonder Hug will cause a rainbow-colored mushroom cloud to appear, and the person becomes patient zero. Symptoms of the Joy virus include unwanted happiness, fever, dilated pupils, rainbow-colored eyes, rainbow-colored bodily fluids, high body temperature, uncontrollable smiling, singing, and a fast heartbeat. Stage 1, smiling. Approximately 1 hour after the initial infection, patient zero will start smiling uncontrollably. The face will remain this way, and the only way to change it usually results with the face distorting itself in order to return the smile. An alternative form is heel clicking. Stage 2, singing. Patient zero will then start to sing in an auto-tuned voice. The individual may also begin to laugh hysterically for a short period of time, and they will begin to cough up rainbow-colored liquid. Stage 3, hallucinations. Around 6 hours and 30 minutes after the first signs of infection have been confirmed, patient zero will begin to hallucinate grand visions of reality. The only way to confirm this is to check if the individual's pupils have been dilated or not. Stage 4, hugging and kissing. Shortly after hallucinating, patient zero will feel a dominant urge to need to hug and kiss people, and will raise their arms and attempt to embrace others. Stage 5, final moments. Patient zero will begin to laugh hysterically, cough up rainbow fluid, and then pass out for a short period of time. If the individual is hooked up to a heartbeat monitor during this period, it will start to play a small happy 8-bit tune, and its screen will display a rainbow instead of the patient's heartbeat. When the subject wakes up, they are now fully infected and are in a zombie-like state. All 5 stages occur within approximately 7 hours and 35 minutes after the incubation period. However, depending on the individual, getting infected by a hugger will shorten the infection period down to 30 seconds, and even last as quickly as 3 seconds to a near instant before becoming fully infected. That is, turn into a hugger. And how does one identify a hugger? They will have these dead giveaway physical traits. The goofy grin, which will seem unnatural. The rainbow fluid, which the infected individual used to continually cough up before passing out, will now drool out of their mouth. Their eyes are also a sign. In Mr. Small's case, the pupils are smaller and red. In Tina's case, her pupils seem demonic, and Gumball gains eyelashes in the final stage. Other than this, his arms are held out, with hysterical laughter and ripped clothes. Huggers will lose most of their intelligence when they pass out, and are driven solely by the need to hug other happy individuals. If there are no miserable people nearby, they will simply walk around instead. Basic motor controls such as running and hugging are preserved, and some memory is retained after becoming a hugger, as confirmed by Gumball kicking away an infected Banana Joe from hugging and infecting Penny, given that he has feelings for her. Huggers can possess auditorial cues to detect yelling, and are sensitive to any form of unhappiness, including discipline, concern, and fear. They are also extremely relentless, and will stop at nothing to infect an unhappy individual once they notice one. Huggers cannot usually tell the uninfected apart from the other huggers if they smile and if they're wearing colorful clothes, so it is possible to walk through a horde if one acts like a hugger. Prevention of the Joy virus includes camouflage. Multicolored individuals, such as Tobias, are already seen as infected by the huggers, and are therefore passed over.
Flower Boy, typical.
The only known possible cure to this dilemma is to play depressing music, such as Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Because of the music's dark and depressing nature, this combats the virus and cures the huggers. The huggers' pupils are no longer dilated and will return to their original look. Watterson family tree. Things may seem simple at first with the Watterson family tree, until you look closer. It starts with the problematic events that led to the naming of Gumball Christopher Watterson instead of Gumball Christopher Watterson. But he isn't the only one. First in this lineup is Anais, whose middle name is which is E with 6 R's after it. Surprisingly, she's named after the show's creator, Ben Boclet's own sister, Anais Boclet. Nicole isn't spared from this either. Her first name is Doctor, which has clearly created some problems for her, causing her to go by her middle name to this day. She's also named after a family member of Ben Boclet, this time his mother, Nicole Boclet. But things get really twisted when Richard's parents gets involved. Richard Buckley Watterson's parents are JoJo Watterson and Frankie Watterson. In The Outside, it's revealed that Frankie left his 6th ex-wife to avoid getting arrested and thrown in jail for selling parcels of the moon to senior citizens. In The Father, Frankie confesses that he did not take Richard into his custody to prevent him from following in his footsteps.
Look, I didn't want you to turn out like me, and I was right. Look at you. You turned out great, and your kids love you.
JoJo's sheltered upbringing of Richard is the foundation for the way Richard is today, something she tried to do to the Watterson children too. Luckily, Nicole was there to stop it, but JoJo would introduce a member into the family, Louie, which we will all see causes some problems. When JoJo married Louie, he became the parental step-grandfather of Gumball and stepfather of Richard. But before this, Richard objected to the marriage, and in an effort to stop it, adopted Louie as his son. And to get him back, Louie adopted Nicole as his daughter.
These adoption forms now make you my daughter. And if I'm not allowed to see JoJo, then I forbid you to see Richard. Boom!
This messes up the entire family tree, because Louie also becomes Richard's father-in-law, while being his son at the same time. That also means that Gumball is his mother's uncle, and Richard is Nicole's grandfather. And the cherry on top, Gumball becomes his own uncle and granduncle because of this arrangement, because his mother is his niece.
I guess I am Gumball.
Actually, it's Uncle Gumball, which makes me more powerful than you. So go play my room!
But Louie isn't done wrecking the family yet. He has a sister, Sheila Carter, who becomes the parental step-grand-aunt to the Watterson children. She's never seen on screen, but it's clear that she and JoJo did not have a good relationship. With that, we come to the end of Layer 4. This next section is filled with secrets that even the most hardcore of Gumball fans may not know. Sussie's family and Darwin. We've already covered Darwin's origins earlier in the video, but there is one unintended consequence that came out of a scene that most viewers brushed off at first glance. This concerns Sussie, who everyone can agree she's pretty weird and strange. She apparently likes eating, a trait that can be seen throughout Rachel's entire party in the episode aptly called The Party, and it often comes with sloppy habits. She also tends to talk a lot and make a lot of weird noises, as shown in the word. She's oblivious to bullying, as in The Weirdo, she thinks Julius gave her chewed bubblegum as a gift and thanks him for it. She seems oblivious to the fact that people judge her and does whatever she feels like doing. Well, there's a good reason for why Sussie is the way she is. For the answer to this mystery, we need to go back to the origins, specifically the origins part 2. In that episode, Sussie was quite intelligent as an infant until this happened.
Talking dog!
Canonically, this is the reason for Sussie's weirdness, so she contradicts herself in the question, where she says that the reason why is because she wants to live life to the fullest. The butterfly effect. Perhaps one of the lesser known characters within the series is the butterfly, who only appears once in the episode named after him in season 3. In this episode, Miss Simeon asks her students to pay attention to a jar on her desk, explaining the life of a caterpillar. When Penny asks if the butterfly can be released after emerging, challenging, Miss Simian objects and tells everyone about the butterfly effect.
So when it's a butterfly, can we release it from the jar?
Are you crazy? Hasn't anyone heard of the butterfly effect?
This would become the foundation of the episode, as the effect also exists in real life. Just as Miss Simian and the others are about to leave, Gumball and Darwin see the caterpillar moving and panic. After Gumball takes a hot shower and they both breathe rapidly, the butterfly emerges and the brothers are thrilled by it and decide to let it free, going directly against Miss Simian's words.
Isn't nature beautiful?
Ugh, as much as it can be, I guess.
This would have had devastating consequences, as even the first scene with Hank and George ends up with two men fighting each other to the point where Gray Construction Man loses his arms, and Hank loses his head and is sent up into the sky towards an airplane.
Sorry! It's nothing! Hi, Bobby. Tell your mother I'll be home late for dinner.
The next scene shows Mr. Robinson driving his car. While on the road, he drives slowly while singing. Much to the annoyance of the workers driving behind him, Mr. Robinson clearly does not care. But that would straight up turn into bullying. That's when the hobo curses him and karma would hit instantly. Many citizens in Elmore notice the flying bill and try to compete with each other for it. In the midst of the chaos, the donut cop shows up and fines Marvin $20 for street dancing without a license. When the officer tries to take the bill, he rolls down the street and hits a pole, sending one of his shoes flying. This would continue the chain of consequences with Allison and Rocky.
Hi.
Yes!
Yes, what?
Yes, I will marry you.
Wait, I think there's been a misunderstanding.
The entire thing would cause a lot of conflict within Elmore, with the people creating a domino effect, which ends when Hector falls on Sussy's dad. In the end, the prophecy comes true, with the tornado forming just like Miss Simian explained in the beginning of the episode.
How could anyone believe that something so tiny could destroy a whole town?
The episode ends there, with the tornado rapidly moving towards the camera. With just one appearance, Butterfly ends up being one of the most destructive forces Elmore has ever seen, Gumball's DNA engineering attempt. In the episode The Apprentice, Gumball decides that the best way to prove to Mr. Fitzgerald that he's good enough for Penny is to become his apprentice for the day. The episode starts with Patrick Fitzgerald getting ready to leave for an important business meeting, but he soon gets stuck with Gumball, who is almost impossible to get rid of. Gumball explains that he just wants to prove himself worthy of Penny and goes on about it to Mr. Fitzgerald. Understandably, he does not take to it kindly, but tries to push through it, even though Gumball's well-intentioned efforts get the wrong kind of reaction.
Water is a success. I repeat, operate.
Could you please just stop saying that?
Sir, yes, sir.
On the elevator, Gumball tries to make the father's worries go away about his DNA not being good enough for his grandchildren. Gumball's solution would have disastrous consequences, as he starts to repeatedly pluck strands from a small DNA helix with his head. This scene, although sweet as that's the length Gumball will go for Penny, raised some eyebrows. In one of the altercations, he becomes a sort of fish creature. This is very reminiscent of certain shows casting mermaids as something horrific and to be feared. It also raises the question, if there were just a few strands plucked out of his DNA, would that turn him into a creature that's more like Darwin? The episode doesn't give us any answers, directing the scene to a golf match that Gumball must win to gain Mr. Fitzgerald's trust. Even that wouldn't go according to plan, as seen at the end of the episode.
Knocked out by the ball, and while unconscious, he tripped a whole happy ending that barely made any sense!
The Safety. The Safety is the 32nd episode of Season 3, and it remains to be one of the darkest episodes in the show's history. It starts out with a safety video called Watch Out Little Teddy, which gives everyone the creeps. It revolves around Little Teddy, an ancient prone bear who is repeatedly injured and then scolded by the narrator. Near the beginning of the tape, still images of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining can be briefly seen. This video is a reference to a public information film, the British equivalent of a public service announcement. It also parodies the violent and frightening nature of these films. This video's disturbing and unsettling nature frightens Mr. Small and everyone else in Miss Simian's classroom, but no one is more scared than Darwin, and we're off to a nice start. On their way home, Darwin starts to get overprotective of Gumball and jumps into action at even the slightest level of perceived threat. This would only get worse as time progresses, but things take a darker turn when Darwin starts to hypnotize characters.
It is for our own good.
It is for our own good.
Darwin takes on more of a dictator role, straight up chaining and hypnotizing most of the Watersons. Gumball is then tortured to also join the group, but he remains rebellious, refusing to give up his freedom. That's when the Watersons reveal themselves.
Oh, you don't get it!
Sorry, I can't hear you over my freedom!
We're talking about the...
Gumball then frees his family and heads for a town hall, which ends up being Darwin's lair. Getting past his minions, Gumball hatches a plan that has 3 phases. First, Richard will create a diversion that will allow Nicole, Gumball, and Anais to zipline inside. Second, Nicole will neutralize the guards, allowing Gumball and Anais to go further ahead. Once Anais disables the alarm systems and opens the door, this will allow Gumball to confront Darwin about what he's been doing.
Very safe. Did you hurt yourself?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you're right!
This plan seems to work out well, and Gumball is left alone to confront his brother. Gumball gets through to Darwin, who finally accepts that life is not always safe and decides to get rid of his rules and safety measures. But before he gets rid of the rules, Gumball asks if he can add one, and it leads to this funny moment.
All hail the mighty Gumball and Darwin, Lords of Elmore!
Though things ended well, it was unsettling for many viewers to watch the cinnamon roll of the show. Darwin turned into something no one could recognize. Darwin's biological family. Darwin's original family has become one of the biggest mysteries of the show, as they have never been seen. They only get a brief mention in the season 3 episode, The Spoiler, when Darwin announces that his parents left him his inheritance, suggesting they were dead.
Time to dig into the money my biological parents left me.
How can you inherit money from a couple of goldfish?
This has left a lot to the imagination, causing a whole storm of theories as to what happened to them. One user, FatMike8230, writes, I believe that we see Darwin's biological fish mother in the season 6 episode titled The List. Darwin, Gumball, and Nicole spot a fish while submerged in the ocean, while browsing Elmore maps.
Is that my fish mom?
Oh yeah, I can see the resemblance.
They go on to explain that this points to the conclusion that Richard is Darwin's biological father, and the fish from Elmore maps is his biological mother. This explains why Darwin can talk and has legs, as well as why he's Richard's favorite kid. But of course, there's a lot of contradictions here, such as Richard buying Darwin out of the Awesome store with no recognition of his face. Additionally, in the choices, Richard's life plays out with Nicole, and no such events take place. Another theory goes that Darwin was a failed lab experiment and was smuggled into the illegal pet trade. Since he's not a normal goldfish, considering other normal fishes do exist in Elmore, it seems plausible that he could have been a lab experiment. It could also explain why his parents died. And a weak theory as to how he ended up at the Awesome store, The Grieving. The Grieving Gumball is a well-known internet creepypasta or lost episode story about a fictional, dark episode of The Amazing World of Gumball. According to the origins of this story, it follows someone watching the TV at 4 in the morning. When this episode came on, they described the start of the episode as different from usual. The music was a little bit different, and the show's logo was not animated. The colors were done rather sloppily as well, and in their words, it was almost like something a little kid would do on a doodle board or a glow board. The title of this so-called episode was The Grieving. It began with Gumball standing alone, facing a corner of his dimly lit classroom. He looked absolutely miserable, not at all like the Gumball we all know and love. No one else can be seen in the room, not even Darwin, and as the windows in the room clearly show, the night sky outside. The scene begins shifting, showing the Watersons' home, with Richard entering the room with a black attire. Nicole would walk in, having the same kind of attire as Richard. He and Nicole would also look as miserable as Gumball did in the previous shot. According to the user, the entire episode episode was done a bit like an amateur flash on Newgrounds. The character designs were somewhat sloppy and rushed looking, and the real-life backgrounds used for the show looked different. The scene shifts once again to Principal Brown's office. Nicole and Richard were there in their usual clothes, looking more normal and happy than they did before, but still slightly worried. Principal Brown, however, looked extremely sad. He quietly and somberly informed them that their children, Anais and Darwin, were not present after lunch earlier that day. They hadn't been seen at all the rest of the day. Nicole was instantly furious at him. She began spouting various insults. Once she quiets down, her eyes began to tear up as he informs them that their children eventually were found, but they have not been found alive. He then went into graphic detail describing how their bodies were found, their parents sitting in utter shock. Although I can't go into the details here, Gumball would also be seen taking the final step to end his misery. The user then includes a supposed letter that explains the origins of the episode, as the episode itself didn't provide many answers. The gist of it goes like this: a guy from my old job, who everyone hated, had lost a child to a serial killer, who is apparently still out there somewhere. Anyways, we made it back so we can make fun of how he came into work, crying like a fool, which is why you saw Mr. and Mrs. Watterson cry so much in the episode. I know, I'm deeply sorry for what I did, which is why I tried to bury that stupid thing years ago. I went out into the countryside with my mates and dug a hole and buried it. They then go on to describe that they never drew anything graphic in the episode, and theorize that someone else must have found the tape and edited it. But curiously, the letter claims that this was done by Ben Boclet himself. The episode obviously never aired on TV, and remains a fan-made creepypasta to this day. Gumball's Futuristic Land. Gumball's Futuristic Land is a 5-episode series created by an artist called Exploshi that ran from 2020 to 2023. It features the beloved characters reimagined, with Gumball taking on a more villainous role. He bullies Darwin so far as to trapping him in a dark dimension because he ate his cereal. Episode 1 begins with Nicole giving the two brothers a free choice to pick their own cereal, but there only seems to be one box. After threatening his brother, Gumball takes the cereal, leaving Darwin with Morg's Oats Mush that comes with a clear warning that says do not eat. Back at home, Darwin still wants the other cereal, explaining that the mush is gravel and sawdust. Still, Gumball does not care and warns his brother against eating the cereal, then goes on a walk. Episode 2 is called The Swallowing. When Gumball comes back from the walk, he sees Darwin eating the cereal and promptly punishes him for it by throwing him into the dark dimension. Episode 3 is called The Revealing. In this episode, the other family members begin to notice that Darwin is missing. Gumball denies knowing anything, but Anais calls him out, knowing what Gumball really did. In one of the morphs that Gumball does, he briefly turns into another famous cat, Garfield, only he's blue and still looks like Gumball. When Nicole suggests working out the problem, Gumball swallows her menacingly, threatening the other two family members. Episode 4 is called The Walk. Tobias, Carrie, Sarah, Bobber, and Penny make an appearance in this episode, but the entire world starts glitching out. Even Gumball doesn't know what's happening as a hand grabs him. In episode 5, however, Darwin is seen again, and Gumball talks about a limited offer on the cereal. They meet up with Lightning McQueen, Doctor Who, and Scaredy Squirrel, who are all going to the factory. All of these characters repeat the same dialogue, saying that their partner sent them out a few bottles of wine for their anniversary, but they're going to the factory instead because they don't love their partners. Later, they realize the factory manager is McQueen's girlfriend. Still, with more threats, the gang gets into the factory despite it being 4 a.m. in the morning. They go through the factory tour, but it ends with no one getting their cereal. Seeing this, Gumball checks out the secret recipe, only to realize that the blue color of the cereal is being sourced from him. Deleted scenes. In the episode The Skull, the episode begins with Clayton teaching the boys how to get away with a lie from showering with the others at school. But when Clayton gets on the sink and wets his hand, the sink falls off and the water pipe starts spraying water. What happens next is straight chaos. In Principal Brown's office, he demands an explanation. Gumball tries his best to explain what happened, but he's interrupted by Clayton's lying. He builds a story that they caught a guy trying to steal from the lockers, and they fought the brother who came out of the shower to his rescue. This allows all three of them to leave without any consequences.
The three of us trashed him, so he jumped out the window and ran off.
And what did this guy look like?
He was just a guy, you know.
Even though this turned out well, Gumball is not amused and wouldn't be friends with Clayton unless he changed his behavior. And Clayton really does seem to have changed his ways after promising Gumball. But this would be short-lived, as Darwin catches him lying again to Penny. By this point, however, Clayton's habits seem to have influenced Gumball, who unknowingly starts to lie.
All that actually happened today was me rescuing Penny from a tribe of time-traveling troglodytes, and then we made out.
No.
So this starts their mission to turn Clayton away from his compulsive lying. This was decided to be enacted through a shot collar, and they are all electrocuted every time they lie.
I didn't press it yet. Wait a minute. His one isn't even turned on.
That's double lying, man!
They would eventually find out that Clayton's shot collar was off, and they scold him for it. But if you didn't recognize the scene, it's because it was cut from the US airing of the show. A similar thing would happen in a season 4 episode, The Crew. The episode begins with a dissatisfied Gumball and Darwin trying to find a new hardcore group to be a part of in school, but they couldn't really choose a group that they would belong in. This is until they notice the Senior Citizens group.
Senior citizens in the house.
In an attempt to prove their worth to the senior citizens, Gumball and Darwin try to do some cool walks in front of them. But when that fails, they try the direct approach by going to Marvin. Finally, their wishes come true, and the pair become a part of the group. To fit in more, they start doing all sorts of things.
We need wrinkles. I don't think pollution is that great at aging us.
Yeah, I don't feel much different.
With their hardcore appearances, Gumball and Darwin begin doing chores for the senior citizens, which quickly starts to go wrong.
A message. Is it a message? Yes. Well, wait! You'll need the cell phone if you're gonna send the message.
But before they can leave the house, however, the senior citizens approach their doorsteps, forcing the brothers to call the police on them and have them arrested at the overpass. The next scene is what becomes deleted. At least in the US, in the heat of the moment, Donut Cop actually tases Marvin, and his agony is heard off screen. With such a political show, The Amazing World of Gumball has almost every episode censored in some part of the world. Episodes like The Butts, The Cheerleader, and The Slap in particular have been scrutinized heavily. But all in all, with a few altercations in their episodes, fans across the world are able to enjoy the Blue Cat and his antics, The Job, and Hidden Meanings. The Job is the 8th episode of season 2 of The Amazing World of Gumball. In it, Richard gets his first job as a pizza delivery guy, but strange things begin to happen around Elmore. The episode starts in the front lawn, with an unconscious Nicole having a nightmare and being slapped awake by Anais. It's revealed that she fainted at the news of Richard getting a job as a pizza delivery guy.
Oh, I had the weirdest dream. I was on the front lawn and your father had a job as a pizza delivery guy.
Richard had it all planned out. This was his method for getting free pizza. He would get this by slicing off the middle segment for himself and hiding any evidence. And off he went to be a pizza delivery boy. But it was obvious from the get-go that he wasn't going to be any good at his job, forcing Gumball and Darwin to step in. Things quickly became ominous when the brothers reached their first house. This delivery was not a normal delivery, but rather a baby delivery. But the baby would never reach the hands of his parents, as Gumball does something horrific. What's disturbing about this is not only has Gumball murdered a whole would-be member of the family, but what Richard had been doing in the episode. If he had really been eating the middle sections of the pizza, it means that the baby would have never been alive during the delivery. But this isn't the only dark thing to happen in this episode. After the improvised deliveries to Mr. Small, the brothers reach the house of the Banana family. Only something immediately goes wrong. Banana Bob answers the door and begins chanting pizza repeatedly. He is soon joined by his wife and his son. As Gumball and Darwin uncomfortably watch, Richard zooms by, distorting reality once again by putting the family in a continuous loop. Even though Gumball and Darwin think that it's just a part of their usual weirdness, it's unclear whether they're actually aware that they're stuck in a time loop. Other weird things start to happen around Elmore. Nighttime has fallen early upon the food and stuff store, there is snowfall somewhere else in Elmore, and Marvin is floating. Nicole sets off to get Richard fired to solve the crisis, and she turns out to be right. Only when Larry fired Richard and did everything to go back to normal in Elmore. And if you liked me yapping about Gumball for 2 entire hours, make sure to click the video on screen. And also, come on, if you've watched this entire Iceberg video, if you're not subscribed, like, I actually don't know what you're doing.